Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We're in the middle of an amazing Sugya, Daf Nun Zayin Amud Beis, and the Gemara brings the following shaila. I'll pull up the Marmakaimis. The shaila was, Yishmael ish kfar yama va'amrila ish kfar di yama ha'ela biyadai. Yishmael, a man of the village of the sea. It's amazing. Two versions, Kfar Yama or Kfar Di Yama. Hela biyada, he had the following shaila. Batzel she'akroi b'shvius, an onion that you uprooted it in Shemitah, v'natoi b'shminis, and then you planted it in the 8th year. An onion that grew in Shemitah is aser. But then when you uproot it and you plant in the 8th year, the additional growth, presumably, is mutter. V'rabu gidulav al-ikra. And now the growth is the majority over the ikar, but not just the majority, it's enough technically to be mevateil it. What's the shaila? V'hacha kami baile. The shaila is as follows: Gidulav heter v'ikaroi aser. The two facts are the growth grew in the 8th year. So the growth in the growth when isolated, the growth when in a laboratory is mutter. The growth developed completely in the 8th year. But the bulb itself grew in the Shemitah, v'ikaroi aser. The bulb grew in the 7th year, and it's aser. So do we say, kivan derabu gidulav me'ikaroi oisan gidule heter malan aser? Do we say, since the growth is the majority, so that which grew is mevateil aser? The growth is mutter. The ikar was aser, but now it's maybe batel b'shishim, oilai, or not. As we pointed out, the strict language of the Gemara seems to say that the gidulav are heter, and the ikar is aser, so what's the shaila? Do we say bittul, or do we not say bittul? Which seems to indicate the gidulav are for sure mutter. The growth is for sure mutter. The shaila is it mevateil the ikar or not? Is it mevateil the ikar or not? That's how most Rishonim learn. The Rosh, Tosfos, and others, they learn the shaila is, do we say bittul or not? So you'll say, well, why would the Gedulim for sure be mutter? Didn't they grow from the Isser? Aren't they like davar hayotzei min ha'asr? So we'll have to deal with that question. But the Ran says the shaila is not only on bittul. The shaila is, actually the Ran learns, we definitely do say bittul. The shaila is, do we say that, you know why there's no bittul? Because the Gedulim itself are aser. Because it came from a davar aser. So the Ran, we'll read the Ran again. The Ran says, Lav Revia Belchud Ka'amar. This is not just Roiv, Ela Revia Shekiyotzeba B'midi Da'asime Alma Hayaba Kedei Levatel Esa Isser. It's a Roiv that would be enough to be Mevateil Isser. Miu B'gidulan Mesafkale Gidule Heter Malen Esa Isser Alei. By Gedulim, we're mesupik if Gidule heter are mala the Isser or not. Meaning, the shaila is, do we say bittul? However, the Ran says, Venerally the ikar sfeika iamrinan de Gedulan, kivan shenem shachin v'yoitzim in ha'ikar she'enoi kala. The Ran says the Safeik is, do we say that Gedulim, since they are drawn and come out of the ikar, because the ikar bulb, we're talking about a seed that doesn't decompose. Ihavalahu ke'ikar, are they like the ikar? Are they like the bulb, the asiri and their aser? Ihavalahu ke'heter, or are they like heter umalen es ha'isr and their mevateil? So in other words, the shaila is, do we say bittul? Or not only do we not say bittul, but the Gedulim themselves are aser, which seems like both studim say that you would say bittul. The problem, though, is maybe the way we look at it is that the Gedulim are coming from a davar asar, so the Gedulim remain aser themselves. So the shaila is really on the Gedulin. It's not, do you say bittul? You do say bittul. The thing is, the Gedulin may be aser because they grew from a davar aser. The Ran says, "V'dinhu dahavalei labim bai Gedulin atzman shari ayasiri." Really, the Gemara could have had a shaila: is the growth mutter or aser? But it's really dependent on whether the ikr is aser. If the ikr is aser, then the Gedulin will be aser. If the ikr is mutter because it's batal, so then obviously the Gedulin are mutter. Miu haba hatalyu the gedule heter malin assessor. If it's mevatel, pshita deshari vi ein malin, and if they're not mevatel, then they themselves would be aser. That's how the Ran learns. The Ran learns the shaila is: do we say the Gedulin themselves are mutter or aser? Which, like I mentioned, both Stadim would say that you could say bittul. The only shaila is, do we say, since it's yoytze min ha'aser, is it aser or not? And we're going to have to deal with the fact, well, why not? And is it so pasha that the Gedulin can be mevatel the iser itself? Because let's see the Rosh and Tosfos. Let's try to make it a little bit bigger. Gidulav heter v'ikari aser pshita li the gidulav mutaran. The Rosh says it's a davar pashat, that whatever grows is going to be mutar, even if it's not roiv. Afilu loy rabu. Why? Ki ha'ikar eni yachal avatel hagidulin. The ikar can't be mevatel the gidulin. The Rosh says even without roiv, the gidulin will for sure be mutar. Now we'll have to deal with, well, what does the Rosh do with what the Ran says? Isn't it coming from a davar aser? Now, so what's the shaila? If the Gedulin are for sure mutter, what's the shaila? The shaila is on the ikar. Is the roiv mevatel the ikar? Why would it? Because of bittul. Why would it not? So the Rosh says, V'af agav the ikar loy mevatel Gedulin. Even though the ikar will never be mevatel the Gedulin, hainu mishum shegedulin chashivi. That's because the Gedulin are chashav. Shetamid gedelin v'holchen. They always grow at and continue. Now, it almost sounds like, why don't we say, well, the Gedulin are aser because it comes from the ikar, like the Ran said. It sounds like we'll be we won't say that, like that it's considered davar hayoytse min ha'aser, because since it's always growing, it's always continuously growing, it almost becomes the primary. So it becomes the primary. You can't say, oh, this is yoytse min ha'aser. It took on a life of its own. It's more focused, more primary than the ikar. The ikar is stationary, it's status quo, it's plateaued. Since the Gedulin are just constantly flourishing, we don't view it as where it came from, but as we're going to see, there's another svara that the Shita Mikobetza says that maybe the Rosh is subscribing to, and that is Zevazeh Goyrim is mutter. What does it mean, Zevazeh Goyrim? Yes, the Gedulim are produced by the bulb, but it's also produced by the ground in the 8th year. So you'll say, but both are causing it. Well, maybe our Sugya goes according to the opinion Zevazeh Goyrim is mutter. That's how the Shita Mikubetzes learns the Sugya. But I don't know if that's what the Rosh is. His words seem to indicate the fact that the Gedulin are so chashav, shetamid gedelin v'holchen, that might be the reason why it's not affected by the ikar. Oy dilmo, or maybe kihechi. So that would be the tzad. We're saying that even though the ikar is not mevatel the Gedulin, that's because the Gedulin is chashiv. But maybe the Gedulin is mevatel the ikar. No, maybe just like the ikar is not mevatel the Gedulin, hachanami loy mevatlen Gedulin la ikar. Maybe the Gedulin is not mevatel the ikar. V'loy dami l'shar isurin. It's not like other isurin shemevatlin b'roiv. Why wouldn't we say bittul? Meaning the Ran learns both Stadim say Bittul. It's just maybe the Gedulim are Aser because it's Yotzei min ha'aser. Here, maybe we wouldn't say Bittul. Why? Misham dahanach lo mis'arvi legamri, because they're not really fully mixed. Yachad. Elo nitoisu Gedulin al ha'ikar. The Gedulim are just added to the Ikar. We said this svara while we were learning the Gemara. Meaning the way the Rosh learns, the Shaila is, do you say Bittul or not? On the one hand, maybe we do. Because even though the Ikar is not Mevateil the Gedulim is Mevateil the Ikar. Or do we say, no, we can't say Bittul because they're not really fully mixed. That's how the Rosh learns. The Gedulim are mutter. Now the Shaila is it Mevateil? Do we say it is because it's chashiv, or maybe not because it's not mixed well? Tosfos says ikaran aser. The shaila is, why would you not say bittul? Again, the Rosh says you wouldn't say bittul because it's not misarvi tvei. It's not mixed well. The Tosfos, look where the icon is. The nehi de midaraisa batal baroif. Tosfos says, of course midaraisa it's batal. Shema chachamim hichmiru. Maybe the chachamim were machmir. Kivan de ikar chashuv v'loy batal. The ikar is so chashuv. After all, that's where it came from. And so maybe midrabanan, there's a chumrah that it's not batal. Midrabanan hudmi bailai. Then Tosfos brings Rabbi Elazar Mimitz. Why don't we say zev v'zeh goyreim mutter? Because the karka is heter. So why don't we say zev v'zeh goyreim mutter? So I'm not sure I understand that, because we are saying zev v'zeh goyreim mutter. We're saying the Gedulim are mutter. So the Hagos Tziyunim changes the girsa. Why don't we say zev v'zeh goyreim aser? Why don't we aser the Gedulim because zev v'zeh goyreim aser? And the answer is, this shita holds zev v'zeh goyreim is mutter. So the Gedulim are for sure mutter because zev v'zeh goyreim is mutter. The way, right, you hear this gersa? Again, the question is, we applied for the Rosh. Why are the Gedulim for sure mutter? Because zev v'zeh goyreim is mutter. Why would you not say bittul? The Rosh says because it's not mixed well. Tosfos says because it's chashav. So midrabanan, it's not batal. Here he's bringing the question of Rabbi Elazar Mimitz. Why don't we say zev v'zeh goyreim aser? And therefore the Gedulim should be aser. So he says, no, this shita holds zev v'zeh goyreim is mutter. He brings a question, v'kasha laharam, dahacha chad goyrim hu. The karka lo chashvin on la goyrim. There's only one goyrim. The land is not a goyrim. Like we see in Elu Treifos. Because the goyrim of karka is not a goyrim. So he doesn't feel that zev v'zeh goyreim mutter would be enough because the karka is not a goyreim. So he says, no, zev v'zeh goyreim doesn't apply over here. Only where the goyreim de iser is be'en. But here the goyreim of iser is not be'en because it's batal. It's misbatel begidulim ve'enoi be'en she'enoi nikar lo shayach zev v'zeh goyreim. So Tosfos seems to be saying that the reason why the Gedulim are for sure mutter is because the reason the Gedulim are for sure mutter is because we won't apply again, the Tosfos is assuming that you can't say Zev Zeh Goyim here because the Karka is not a Goyim. If that's the case, the only Goyim is the Iker. So we should say there's only one Goyim. The Goyim is the Iker. So the answer seems to be the Iker is Batal. Again, the Ran learns you definitely would say Bittul. The Shaila is, do we say it's Yotzei min ha'asar or not? The Rosh and Tosfos seem to say, the question is, do we say Bittul? Why would we not? Maybe because it's Chashav. Maybe it's because it's not Nisarev Yafeh. Why are the Gedulim for sure mutter? The bulb is the only goyim here. No, that's not really a real goyim. The svara to say the ikar is batal is so strong, makes it that the gedulim are for sure mutter. Now the shaila is, meaning the gedulim are mevatel the ikar to an extent where we don't say the ikar goyim is the bulb. But whether they're actually mevatel the ikar, that's the shaila according to Tosfos. Just to show you, there's a sefer called Shaila Sutshuva is Nachalas Baruch. He brings a summary of the Machlokes, the Rosh and the Ran. He says, "V'hinei b'had depligi amarai igidulei isr mevalen esoikar nechelko rabusa da Tosfos and the Meiri and the Rosh and the Shitim Kuvetzas kulam kasu demad sheni toisa bebatzal mutter. Whatever increased is mutter l'kulayama. V'Meiri v'Shitim Kuvetzas kasu taima demilsa." The reason why the Gedulim are mutter is to have a Zev Zeh Goyim. It's Zev Zeh Goyim, the ha'ikar aser. The bulb is aser. V'yanikas ha'karka shel heter garmu, and the nourishing of the ground of heter caused l'Gedulim she'avayu. V'chol hani amaroi savri de Zev Zeh Goyim mutter. The Shita and the Meiri say this sugya holds Zev Zeh Goyim is mutter. So what's the pshat in the Manda Oiser? No, the Manda Oiser holds you can't be mevatel the ikar. It's chashav, so therefore it's not batal. The Rosh says the mashna is gadol inu misarev yafa beikar. It's not mixed well. Mishum hachi ein loymar she'enoi batal. Beika lameimar she'enoi batal. Therefore you could say it's not batal. The Ran says no. The Ran says the Machlokes is dehani maroi pligi imashani tosa bebatzal hu mutter oiloi. Is the addition mutter or not? Demanda oiser soivar, the one that asers holds, kiven the mashin tosav nimshach meno ikar haaser harihin kamaisai. And when the Gemara says gidulav heter v'ikare aser, kiven the rabu gidulav malin asesar ilai, the shaila is not just is it mevatelet, is are the Gedulim mutter aser? Kavanas the Gemara daminon oilai. The oiloi is even not just, it's not mavato the ikar, but it's the Gedulim themselves would be asar. Hanu da Gedulim gam ken asur and the kibbutz shem nemshachim min ha'isar rehin kamaisai. So he has an interesting shaila in the Ran where the Gedulim are asar. Is it just that you're not allowed to eat the Gedulim? Because we're talking about Gedulim of Shemitah. That they were talking about Ikar of Shemitah, and then it grew more in the 8th year. Do we say since it's drawn from the Shemitah year, it's Asr, and there's no heter of Zev Zeh Goyim, Or do we say, no, this is, but you're not going to get malchus. You're not going to get malchus if you eat the Gedulim, because not like eating Shemitah, it just, you don't have a heter on it of zevazeh goyim, but you're not going to be chayiv malchus for eating. Or do we look at it like mamish, the isser of shvius expanded, so you're actually consuming the peiros of shvius, and if we warned you not to eat it, you're going to get malchus for eating it. How far-reaching is the isser in the Ran? I mean, this idea that it's nimshach min ha'isser. So is it nimshach min ha'isser and there's just no heter, or is it like actually eating shmita and you're going to be chayiv malchus for consuming it? Okay, hopefully, we got a little bit of clarity of these two approaches of learning the sugya. Namely, according to the Ran, there definitely would be bittul. The fact that it's chashuv, the fact that it's not nesari of yafeh, the Ran dismisses. There's only one shaila. Do we say the Gedulim are nimshach min ha'isser or not? Why would we say not? Maybe because of zevazeh goyim. The Rosh and the Tosfos and the Meiri, they learn the Gedulim are for sure mutter. Why? Zevazeh goyim. The shaila is it Mevateil the ikar or not? Tosfos just throws in a din that, in his opinion, it's not zevazeh. It's only one goyim, namely the bulb. However, so why aren't the Gedulim for sure aser? No, the Gedulim, since they're roiv, they're Mevateil the ikar from rendering them aser. They're the ikar. Maybe the Rosh also said a svara. They're hoylech v'nesgadel. So therefore, the ikar cannot affect the Gedulim, because the Gedulim are the primary item over here. The ikar is and was and will be whatever it was. There's only one ikar here, and that's the Gedulim. And now the shaila is it Mevateil the ikar? All right, that's what we got.
Rav, the Gedulim, even if it's smaller than the bulb, would still become motor, or is it an issue of size? So it has to be 1-to-1, then or how? Because if it's 10% of the bulb, do we still say it becomes its own or not?
The Rosh said that no matter what, the Gedulim are going to be mutter.
From day one, even if they're much smaller.
Even if they're smaller. Afilu loy rabu. That the ikar cannot affect the Gedulim. Why? L'chayra, because zevazeh goyim mutter.
Doesn't say that, the Rosh.
True. The Rosh does not say that.
Which is why I have a question on Facebook, on the question on the min, who says that zevazeh goyim. Why can't we just go with the Rosh? Why is he coming on to the svara of zevazeh goyim? Why do you think this uses Rosh's svara?
What's the Rosh's svara? It's hoylech v'nesgadel. That's what it seems like. The Rosh's svara seems to be
Similar.
The growth is the main thing. The growth has vitality. It could get bigger, irrespective of what size it is right now. It's the ikar does not affect the Gedulim, right? I mean, that's what the Rosh says. V'afgav the ikar loy mevateil Gedulim. Hainu mishum shegedulim chashivi shetamed gedelim v'holchen. The svara of zevazeh goyim is what the Shita Mekubetza says. Okay, but you're right. And we pointed this out. The Rosh does not bring in zevazeh goyim.
So there are other ways to learn the Gemara to make it fit in. Why do we have to come on to zevazeh goyim?
Because the Rosh is not clear why we're not worried about the factor that it's coming from a davar asar. Although, like we pointed out, I think it's because Mishum shagidulav chashivi shetamed gedelim v'holchen. Well, I think it's because of what he says on the second wide line. I think the Shita Mekubetza says explicitly differently. The Meiri says explicitly differently. But you're right, he doesn't say that. And then there's the svara of Tosfos that, in his opinion, it's not the karka's contribution is not relevant. Tosfos says. So then, if the only thing is it's growing from the ikar, So why is that okay? He says, nah, it's batal. The Gedulim are Mevateil. So if almost like the Gedulim are so primary that it's not considered nourishing from a davar aser. Okay, shkayach.